Good evening and welcome to Nycos Nightly News. This is your report for the Dark Shards campaign. This is a special report because we're going to be covering many more topics than our usual news reports. So sit back, buckle down, and get ready for a rather exciting time as we talk about what's going on inside the campaign. All right, so we are going to be talking about the Eastern Front, moving to the Northern Front, and then to the Western Front. Of course, using the term front is very much a reminder that we are on the brink of war, which may be coming to Nycos sooner than expected. But before we get into that, if you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe to this channel. And we're going to be transitioning the news reports such as this to be a subscriber only feature. So make sure you get subscribed right away so that you'll be able to get updates on what's going on within the campaign, because that is going to be specifically for those who are subscribers to our channel. Alrighty, so when we are talking about the Eastern Front, we are speaking of the Eastern Continent. And so let me take us there now and show you what that means. Let me see if I get to the right page here. Yes. So we are going to be looking at, I got the wrong title there. Let me go ahead and doesn't want to go. Just close it for now. All right. So we're going to be speaking of the Eastern Continent, and that is in particular all the region from basically the city of Slumber southward and eventually getting all the way to Selk. So this continent of Yalem is what we're going to be reporting on today in this first section. So to start off our story, we begin in the kingdom of Bylon, which is to the eastern seaboard and rather far south. The area between Snowlands Call and Canaveral as a large area is considered to be the Bylani Empire, and it is not yet clearly mapped as we have had no player and enjoined personnel in this regime, this area, since the beginning of the 9th iteration. So there is a lot to be discovered, but we do have some news coming from here in the city of Bylon. There were several individuals who were overseeing and maintaining control on the single survivor of the Arkan I expedition, and it appears that there has been a retrenchment of the local members of the Old Order faith who have taken control of and have apparently spirited out of the area the lone survivor. All we know of that person at this point is that it is a Eldrin, we believe to be Fralarin, who is currently somewhere beyond the domain of Bylon. And so if there's additional information that you can provide, make sure you leave it in the comments so that we can verify and determine any location where they might be. It's believed that some form of Phalan magics of an unknown source or unknown disposition did indeed spirit that person away, and so the government of Bylon is actually requiring awareness if anyone has any news about this departure and where this person might be found. The only thing they do have is a name which has some curious origins. We'll perhaps go into a later story about this person, but apparently the name Valkyrie has been mentioned and is most recently known to be a part of the the Rovers, the Random Rovers group, but that seems to not be the case any longer. So as we gather information, of course, we will share that with you. Moving farther up into this region, the Silverblades Mountain is still, the entire range is still burning. This is the 5th week of continuous fires throughout the region, and it is potentially going to be devastating to the crops of both the Seven Spears region, as well as far-reaching implications concerning the eastern slopes of the Silver Blades, and what the disposition will be for food supplies that would traditionally come from those areas. The amount of smoke and debris that still descends from the firefall, as the Silver Blades are now being called, has become somewhat troublesome, and several of the eastern city-states have begun to make complaints about it. Moving to the other side of the mountain range, the city of Draconium apparently has fallen into the sights of the Imperator's armies, as several eyewitness groups have verified that there has been an army sighted marching south out of the area of Eldrasar. Now, it is interesting that the marching army out of Eldrasar, Elsadar in particular, the city, would be quite a few days out of this unless there's some other form of magics involved. Rumor is that the established transfer point in the mountains of High Point might have been used to expand, or rather to speed the activity of this army, but we have yet to determine that. Other information is that there have been eyewitnesses to a vessel. According to the reports, that airship carries the name Dreamstriders, although that cannot be verified, as there is no such name in the ship's registries as defined under the Combined Nations pacts of the past 100 years. And so we're not sure where this vessel comes from. It seems to conform to the description and the size and type of a very popular trade and smuggling vessel, which has been tied and linked to several criminal activities, but there is no verification of who this vessel belongs to, although reports state that they are currently on the western seaboard of the Twain Sea and are considered to be armed and dangerous, so be aware of that. The government of Potiphar has repeatedly made apologies and descriptions of how they were misled in the handling of their recent interactions with the survivors and refugees from the Everburn. And of course, the mayor there has created a fund for the repatriation of any Eldrin that would like to come forward and describe how they were mistreated, and to give some details. And so there is an associate of the Imperator who has stepped forward to assist in the coordination of this. It is the Priest King, and I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this correctly. So it's understood that may actually be able to clarify and provide repatriation funds to anyone that wishes to come forward about the recent challenges, and to provide clarity about what particularly happened. The Imperator's forces also seem to have become mired for a bit in the area of Ulmara. There were several reports that a unrecognized band of the Enjoined is in the region, but there has not been any arrests made, nor any particular identification of these individuals. there will be perhaps more information on that in the upcoming hours, but at this point we do not have any of that information. I'm going through this data perhaps a little bit quicker than I had anticipated. The Quorumite government from Cord Quorum has actually begun a investigation into the validity of the Imperator's claims, with an eye towards verifying the validity of his proclamations and to ensure that the doctrines and disciplines that are promoted will be in keeping with the Quorumite philosophies. Of course, there is the recent completion again of the Purification Center in eastern Cordquorum, in the hillsides above the capital city. That seems to have been a instrumental source in the contractual agreements between the Middle Kingdoms, and has therefore been associated with the government of Elsadar. And furthermore, this is exacerbated by claims by General grievously wounded from Florin, that seem to suggest that the recent assassination attempt on him might have been perpetrated by persona of the enjoined nature, as they were seen not only in the city of Eldrasar at the city of Elsadar at the time, but also have recently been seen as far north as Bastion, and so therefore there may be a challenge or a difficulty with verification of their claims that the assassination was being undertaken by Treloran. It is interesting to note that the Treloran government of Tralara has not responded with any comments concerning these allegations, nor is there any evidence of any materials left behind by such an assassin. There is also an interesting transaction being offered by the government of Tenerife to offer a reward for the arrest and investigation of the enjoined. This is the first time in 5 iterations that any claims against the enjoined have been brought forth, and if they are followed through on by the government of Cordquorum, it will be the first time that the court system has been used to challenge the will of the enjoined, who have thus far been very supportive of the defense and protection of Nykos at large. When we move a bit further west, we're now in the northern reaches of Yarlin, and it is no longer a rumor. It has been verified that there are nearly 2,000 active forces in the environs of Flow and Salafort. And also it seems to be a militarization of several of the religious facilities in the North Country, including the Shrine of the Ponderies of Tondaru, and also the Church of Miri, who have been bolstered by the recent recoveries, and we have additional evidence of the validity of that faith coming from our reports from the area around Potiphar. It's interesting that the Potiphar government did not reply or respond to those, and as a matter of fact, they suggested that it may be a propaganda move or a outright fraud perpetrated by the members of Miri's men, which, of course, they have been nothing but helpful in dealing with the recent Primus challenges. But we will try to get a live report this week that we will share on the channel concerning the very direction of this newly forming religious body. It is interesting to note that we have also gotten our first press report from the perihelion, who are now officially claiming that the population of Nyx, of Nykos, should repent, turn from its ways, and be warned that the world will fall into ruin should they not acknowledge and return to the ways of truth, and that they are, are alleging that the double star rising event shall fall on or near the primary religious holiday of Christmas Day in a mere few weeks. And there is a call for the seeker to make himself known so that they can take up their role of protectors and provide him with the means to avoid the inquisitors and the others who might be looking for him. So there'll be additional information on that as we go along as well. Let's see what else we need to cover. Okay, so the next is that there has been an attempt to communicate with the governance of Nyx, and many of the passes by which one might approach Nyx seem to have become occluded, such that the roads themselves seem to have begun to meander and move along the mountain ranges. And so there's concern that something untoward might be going on there. Now, it is also rumored that a princess of Nyx was apparently involved in the miracle of Mary's Day just a week ago. And so there will be additional information once she has arrived in the city of Nyx. And so there's some interesting elements there that are in the process of developing. We will have more information as that becomes available to us. Finally, on the southern boundaries, below the city of Naxos, the great Khanate of Grick has continued, or rather it continues to keep its borders closed between its realms and Umoric, and also cutting off from communication the unified shires. So there'll be more information on that once we can get a word through and get our reporters back into the mountains near Brandywine and Nod. So we'll keep you up to date on that. Finally, Tenerife has begun to share information on their network of communicators and, shall I say it, spies. And they've come clean with several governmental stories. And it seems that they are anticipating the arrival soon of an emissary from the Middle Kingdoms. And if that becomes the case, we will carry that information for you as well. The civil war in Farthfell has become more entrenched, as it appears that Abigail and Wormsweat and the region there have been bolstered by the forces of Tenerife, and there seems to be an insurgency of some sort of an Eldrin nature. It is rumored also that there is an enjoined who has joined the fight near Abigail, and in particular seems to be defending the area around Wormsweat. So we'll bring you more information as that becomes available. The the purification center near Tomandagan has formally also come online for the Order of the Priest Kings, as they have also declared themselves a sovereign state under the protection of the Middle Kingdoms. So this story is just developing. literally day by day. For more information, check out our website. I'm sorry, check out our YouTube channel at NycosRPG.com for more updates and for the playlist of the previous stories so you can become more informed about what's going on. Check those out at NycosRPG.com. I'm sorry, I keep giving the wrong name. At YouTube.com/@NycosRPG. All right, I've actually got the story done quicker than I thought. This will be the end of the report for this week. We'll hope to see you next time. This is Jonathan Alvin at NycosRPG.com, and make sure you subscribe here on YouTube, as these shows will eventually become subscriber only. Thank you and have a great night.